Hi everyone, I'll present the work Finding Experts in Transformer Models. The key question that motivated our work is whether specific concepts are learned in individual model units. It turns out that yes, this has been explored in the CNN domain by many authors. And for example, these authors have shown that by ablating or activating units, in this case filters in a GAN, that are responsible for a specific concept, we can induce that concept in the output. For example, in the picture, the authors activate 3 units. However, there are still some open questions. For example, can we use the same methodology in NLP to condition, for example, language models, or how are these units used in learning in general? We'll start by defining what expert units are, and then we'll show applications to controllability of language models and generalization. Expert units are experts with respect to a concept. So we define a concept with a binary data set of sentences that either contain or not the concept. We feed this data set through a transformer model, and then for each unit in the model, we ask the following question: is unit M a good predictor of concept C? To answer this question, we collect the responses of this unit to the concept data set, and then we measure average precision using these responses as prediction scores. We do that for all units in the model, which allows us to sort units by expertise for that concept. That is very useful, for example, to control pre-trained language models in the NLP domain. We adopt the product of experts formulation by Hinton, which says that condition generation is proportional to maximizing 2 probabilities. First one is an intermediate probability that predicts the concept in the generated text, and the second one is the typical language model probability. There's been a few words, recent words actually, that model these intermediate probabilities an external model. Our hypothesis is that these huge pre-trained language models like GPT-2 already incorporate by their training methodology these intermediate expert model. The hypothesis behind that is that in autoregressive language modeling, the probability of observing a concept in the output is similar to observing it in the input in general. In other words, if the context is about, say, football, the language model will continue to talk about football. That allows us to reformulate the product of expert formulation as a function of the context, which we've seen in the previous slide. That is, we can find units that are that maximize this probability. In other words, units that are very good experts for the concept. So the algorithm we propose is first sort units by expertise, and then select the top K experts in a greedy way and intervene upon them at generation time by fixing their value to the value they would output if the concept was present in the input. So we're basically simulating the presence of the concept. And the hypothesis here is that increasing K, or the number of experts, will increase the presence of the concept. I'll show you a very short example. There's more in the paper. But in this example, we're, in this case, intervening upon an increasing number of expert units, and with the concept we're inducing is concept bird. We see that when we don't intervene any concept, we are in an unconditional language model framework, and the concept is not there in general. It will be there with the prior probability in the dataset. However, if we induce only 60 experts, which is a tiny fraction of the number of units in GPT-2, we already observed the concept being present very often. On the other hand, if we induce too many experts, then we're maximizing the intermediate model in the product of experts, but we're degrading P of X, which is the language model probability. So there is a sweet spot, which is active research, but we've seen that actually we can control language models without modifying them. There's still a corollary to these experiments, is that the presence of good and diverse experts is also correlated with the generalization power, and I will not extend here for the sake of, because of time, but these results are present in the paper, and you can check them out. So in conclusion, start from the end, the presence of good and diverse experts is correlated with generalization, and we've seen that expert units are predictive of a concept in the input. We've also seen that in the language model setting, expert units are causal. They cause the concept in the output, and that we can intervene upon expert units to condition a language model without fine-tuning, retraining, or using additional parameters, which, up to our knowledge, is the first work to propose this. Thank you.